Well, looky here. You guys finally get a minstrel weapon, huh? I guess all of those support players out there, specifically Minsorks, are going to be quite happy about this. But unfortunately, you guys know how I feel about this. Let's go into, I believe this is the one. Take a look at this. So, stat-wise, as usual, it's actually looking about average, I'd say. This is pretty average, maybe slightly above the typical weapon. It's not that great. It's just somewhere around the top end. But unfortunately, this is a single target attack increaser. Now, I have said this before. I do actually think that increasing attack is much more important in Colosseum than increasing defense. So I would personally view an attack increasing, even single target, as slightly more important than a 2-target defense increaser. Now, some people might disagree. Personally, this is an opinion, not a fact. Personally, I just think that making your own vanguards kill is slightly more important. Now, that being said, unfortunately, again, it is single target, so it's okay. And on top of that, it's also physical attack. So, I mean, it's good for my guild, but this is kind of dependent on your guild. But regardless, it's actually fine anyways, because minstrels they just need weapons. And do you guys really have anything else on the horizon to spend on? Probably not. So you might as well. Like, honestly, this is like a you might as well pull. Not so much a you guys should pull this. It's not quite good enough where I would say you guys need to pull this for sure. It's at the level of it's okay. It's like a solid 6 or a 7 out of 10. So yeah, I'm gonna defer this to you guys. Do you guys, the Minsorks, think that this is worth pulling on? And if so, is it because the reasoning that I'm saying, which is basically you have nothing else to spend on anyways, you might as well do it? If it's one of those situations, then I perfectly understand. I wouldn't really get it if someone told me that this weapon is like amazing. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's okay. More than likely, it is tier 4, but I mean, there's probably S weapons that are just as good as this. Actually, there might be a bunch of S weapons that are better than this because they'll probably be 2-target. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. The stat increase is nice, though. Stat increase is nice. Maybe you guys can replace some of those A rank harps. And then obviously you guys know how I feel about replenish magic. It's not good. It's not support boon. It's probably, I mean, I suppose it's better than all the support skills that don't activate at all. So that's a plus, but I don't know, man. Personally, I would pull, but that's because if I was a Minsork, I would probably have way more resources than I have right now, more than likely. But if you are broke, if you do not have that many crystals, I would probably not pull on this, at least not for this weapon. So let's move on to the next weapon, which I think is this one. Yeah. So next weapon is another sword. Surprise, surprise. Who would have thought? Again, stat wise, it's pretty mediocre. If you take a look at the last one that we got, I believe it was 6,700, but that was like probably top 2, top 3. This is more like average range, and that the reason why this is the case, why you see the stat being like this, is because this is actually a first year weapon in JP. So stat wise, it's not power creeped, as opposed to the other weapons that we got, which were like year 2, year 3. These weapons are pretty okay, actually. They're fine. I mean, this ratio here is probably like a 2.7, maybe a 3.2. I'll flash it up on the screen. And P attack debuff. I mean, like I said with P defense, or just defense debuffs in general. Debuffs in general, I don't really like them in terms of support skills. But they are better than replenish magic, and I would rather debuff enemy attack than enemy defense, personally. Now, that is a little backwards now that I think about it in comparison to my usual logic. I think I still feel that way. And the reason why I mostly feel that way, it just comes down to the types of teams that we fight in Colosseum, right? if I'm fighting against an equal level opponent, I would rather reduce their attack so I have an edge on them in terms of overall DPS. Now, of course, defense could do the same, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest, defense, again, I brought it up before, defense 2/3 effectiveness, right? So yeah, and then in regards to fighting against weak teams, if we're fighting against a weak opponent, nothing that I do really matters. I just keep I basically herder and just keep pressing, and then I just win. So yeah, I suppose this would be under DC, and it would be under self buffing. So this would be like the third or fourth best option in terms of support skills for swords, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is fine if you want to be a physical DPS. Personally, I don't think it's really worth pulling on. I do think that physical DPSers should probably start focusing more on axes. Unless the sword is really good. If the sword has DC or something like that, maybe self-buff attacks on the main skill, something good, something juicy, then I think it's worthy of pulling on. But this is I don't know. I mean, I guess it'll help fill out your grid. I just don't think it's good. It's not a good weapon. It's just average, which is, I guess, it's what you would expect from a year 1 weapon. This is the problem with them releasing content out of order, is that it makes the issue that I have with weapons even worse. And it's compared to the weapons that we have been getting the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this is so mediocre that I don't even see a point in doing it, unless you're basically either pulling for the job, which is job stats, or you're pulling just for an extra sword. You just happen to want to be a full physical DPS and you're just really close, but you're not quite there. Yeah, personally, just thinking about this, unless you spend money, if you're free to play, I really don't see a reason to pull on this. I would probably just wait. I think the next banner is probably going to be another physical DPS class, and I hope it's an axe character, but again, we don't really know shit. I would probably save. Personally, I don't think this weapon is worth it unless you spend money, or for whatever reason you have a fuck ton of crystals. If you have a fuck ton of crystals, go for it, I guess. I still don't think it's worth spending potentially up to 4,500 crystals to get this mediocre weapon. I think it's better suited to keep those for something more secure. But anyhow, let's look at the final thing that comes out with this, which is indeed a nightmare. Lindwyrm. Lindwyrm is great. If you guys don't have Lindwyrm already, this might be a pretty good opportunity to get him. 6,700 total stats. You guys already know what he is. If you guys did not get him from the RUS, this is a decent opportunity to get him. Again, when nightmares are rate up, they do have a 0.66% rate up, which is actually pretty good. Typically nightmares, I believe they have a sub 0.05% drop rate, which is pretty shit. That means your chance of getting a nightmare is, I don't even know, is that 1 in 1,000? I would probably, if you want to get him, this could be a decent chance at getting him. It's not great. You're probably gonna end up spending a couple thousand, but it could be an opportunity if you want to pad out the nightmare list. Overall, I give this banner a solid, I'm gonna actually split up the scores. If you are a minstrel, I'm gonna give this banner a 6.5 out of 10 to pull. If you are a breaker and or physical main DPS, I would give this banner a solid 5. And if you just want Lindwyrm, I would still probably put that around a 5. Honestly, it is a good opportunity to get him, but I really don't think it's worth it. So I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. Again, I could be wrong. Feel free to let me know if you guys disagree. Give me your opinions down in the comments down below. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it around, subscribe if you guys want to see more content. I will probably be doing a video on Shining Beyond. And what else? I believe there's a new armor coming out, so I should make that video for SINoAlice sometime Monday, maybe Tuesday, depending on how my time goes. So look forward to that. Anyhow, I am out. Have a nice day.